Lesson 2.4 is titled A Library of Parent Functions. In this lesson, we'll look at parent functions and transformations. Below are 8 of the most commonly used functions in algebra. Understanding their characteristics will be beneficial when we do transformations. The first 2 functions are kind of similar. We have a constant function and what's called an identity function. A constant function is just a horizontal line. As you can tell, it goes through the y-axis. Because it's a function and because it's actually a line, technically it has arrows on both sides. Now, if we state the domain and the range just by looking at the graph, remember the domain goes from left to right. That's an R, there we go. And because those arrows would go to the left forever and right forever, our domain would be negative infinity to positive infinity. And then our range technically goes bottom to top, but this is where things get a little goofy. If it's a horizontal line, that means it's only going to go where outputs equal that letter, what C equals. And in this case, it looks like it might be about 1.25 maybe. But in general, you would just say your Y value is equal to C. There's no other value that it can equal in that function. Now, an identity includes x and y, and typically it's of the form f of x equals x or y equals x. Notice for this graph, the y-intercept is 0, 0. It goes right through the center. And the slope is 1. Again, like a constant function, this identity function, which we also know as a linear function, I guess we could put that in there, goes to the left and right forever. Now the domain is just like it was for the last problem. It's going to be from negative infinity to infinity. The range, and now we can be more specific, remember range is bottom to top. With those double arrows, that means it points down to negative infinity eventually and up towards positive infinity. The range for this linear function is going to be the exact same, from negative infinity to infinity. The next set of functions are the absolute value function and the square root function. So thinking about absolute value, that absolute value bar means no matter what you plug in on the inside, the outside is positive, or the output is positive. So if you were going to make a table, if you plug in 0, the absolute value of 0 is 0. Oops, wow, 0. And that would be that point right in the center. If you plug in positive 1, the absolute value is positive 1. And that's that point right here. If you plug in negative 1, absolute value would still be positive 1. So you can notice that everything on the left is going to go up towards positive infinity. Everything on the right is going to do the same thing. For your domain, you can plug in anything you want for x with those arrows on the left side and right side, negative infinity to infinity. But now look at the range. The range is going to be different. If we look at bottom to top, notice there isn't an arrow that points towards negative infinity. The smallest possible output is 0. And then as both arrows point up, they approach positive infinity. Now, like absolute value, we had some restrictions for part of our domain and range set. In the square root function, we'll have restrictions in both the domain and range. The most basic type of parent function is f of x equals the square root of x. Thinking about numbers that we can plug in for x that give this function meaning, we know that it has to be 0 or greater to take the square root. And notice if you plug in 0, the square root of 0 is 0. And then as the numbers for x get bigger, so do the square roots of those numbers. For our domain, we can't just say all real numbers for x, or negative infinity to infinity, because we can't plug in anything we want. From left to right, the leftmost point is 0. And then as the arrow approaches to the right, it goes towards positive infinity. The range for a square root function, when it's in parent function form, has an output that's the same, 0 as well. And as that arrow points to the right, it also technically points up. And that gives you to positive infinity. Now, as we go through the rest of these functions, we're really just focusing on the most basic version called the parent function. Eventually, we'll do some transformations or translations of these graphs, and that will alter what our domain and range look like. The next two functions are called the squaring function, which we know as quadratic, and a cubic function. So notice with the squaring function, this is a curve in the most basic form, f of x equals x squared. Now both arrows would point up towards the top. We know that the vertex is at 0, 0, but as we state domain and range, remember we're going from left to right and bottom to top. Now from left to right, the arrow on the left side and right side would indicate you can go towards negative infinity all the way to positive infinity, essentially meaning you could plug in any number you want for x and square it. But for the range is going to kind of be related to that location of the vertex. Notice from bottom to top, there's a lowest point for the range, and that starts at 0. And it can equal 0, and then as the arrows point up towards the top, it goes towards positive infinity. Now, we've done a lot of work with quadratic. We know that they don't all go through 0, 0 as their vertex, and as that changes, so will the value for your range. Now, a cubic function is kind of like a line with a little loop or a blip in the middle. Technically, there's an arrow on the left and an arrow on the right. Think of numbers that you can cube. We can cube positive numbers, we can cube negative numbers, we can cube fractions, we can do pretty much any number we want. That means your domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. The direction of those arrows would go to the left and to the right eventually forever. And because those arrows point down and up, the range is going to be the exact same. Even if we translated or moved this graph around by a transformation, the domain and range would stay the same. And here we have our final two parent functions. The first function is called the reciprocal function. Notice it's f of x equals 1 over x, or y equals 1 over x. And this doesn't go from left to right forever anymore. The reason being is that we have x in the denominator. So we know because of that in the domain, what value for x makes that denominator not possible. We know that x can't equal 0. So that means on the left-hand side, there's an arrow that goes to the left and an arrow that points down. So in interval notation, like we've written the other 6, we would say from negative infinity, getting infinitely close to 0 would represent everything on the graph for the left-hand side. Now on the right-hand side, I know that that graph is going to point up and then to the right forever. That's to the right. So it'll go towards positive infinity, but it has to kind of skip that value of 0. So x can't equal 0 is kind of inequality notation. From negative infinity to 0 and 0 to infinity is going to be your interval notation. And the nice thing, at least for the range, same thing. From bottom to top, notice it's never going to cross over the x-axis, so y, or our range value, can never equal 0. So we would say f of x can't equal 0 either, or again, negative infinity to 0, and 0 to positive infinity. And our last graph is the most unique one, at least the most unique looking one of all. This is called a greatest integer function. That means no matter what your inputs are, your output has to be an integer. It can't be a decimal or a fraction in between. So look from left to right. It kind of looks like you're walking up some steps. Now that's going to keep going beyond the graph. That's an open circle. Open circle there. Closed circle, open circle. It'll keep going in that direction, and it'll keep going down in the negative direction on the left-hand side. What that means on your x-axis for a domain is that we can plug in anything we want, negative infinity to infinity. But for our outputs, notice there's no diagonal going bottom to top. That doesn't work. It's just like little kind of segments. Here on that far left-hand side, your x or your output can equal negative 3, but then it can only equal negative 2, and then negative 1, and 0, and so on. For your range, what that indicates is that your range values are integers only. And then we can move them around. We can stretch those segments from left to right a little bit, and we'll practice more work with greatest integer functions tomorrow.